Around the bar, the men were solemn. They looked down at their beers, or blankly back at Donnie. Listen, Donnie said. All the speech-making vanished from him. We met Luca Brasi and Pete Clemenza, and the rest of those dagos come into our neighborhoods and take over the policy business, the gambling, the women, the booze, everything. They did it by busting heads and putting a few guys in the ground, like Terry O'Banion and Digger McLean, and the rest of us stood for it. We didn't want a bloodbath, and we figured we could still make a good living. But I tell you, these guineas won't be satisfied until they're running every fucking thing in the whole city. And what I'm saying is all we gotta do is keep our piece of the action and quit lying down and show them we're willing to fight. Donnie paused before he spoke again into the silence. My brothers and I plan to take on Luca Brasi and his boys. We're set on it, he said, and he placed his beer mug down on the bar. Corey Gibson tapped his chalet on the floor twice. And when everyone looked in this direction, he gestured toward Donnie. It's not just Brasi or Clemenza, he said, or even Vito Corleone. It's Mariposa and the Rosados and the Barzinis, all the way to that pig Al Capone in Chicago. There's a veritable army of those wops, Donnie, and that's the heart of the thing. I'm not saying we take on the whole syndicate, Donnie answered. He leaned back and rested his elbows on the shelves of liquor, as if he were getting ready to have a long discussion. At least not yet, he said. We've got no real organization. What I'm saying is, my brothers and I want Luca Brasi. We want his policy business specifically. We want his runners working for us, and we're taking over his bank. But the problem is, P. Murray said, looking up from his drink, that Luca Brasi has Gatsby Mariposa behind him. You tangle with Brasi, you have to tangle with Mariposa. And if you tangle with Mariposa, then, like Cor said, you have to deal with the Rosados and the Barzinis and the Stinkimani and all the rest of them. But Brasi doesn't have Mariposa behind him, Willie shouted, leaning over the bar toward Murray. That's the thing, he said. He doesn't have a whole soul behind him. Donnie didn't look at Willie. He waited until his brother was done, and then he spoke as if Willie hadn't said a word. We hear Brasi's on his own, he said. You don't have Mariposa or anybody else backing him. He nodded to little Stevie, and all the others all turned to look at the kid, as if they were just noticing his presence. Stevie said, I was running with Sonny Corleone for a while, and I heard a few things. From what I heard, Luke is an independent. He's got nobody behind him. In fact, from what I hear, Mariposa wouldn't mind seeing Brasi rubbed out. And why's that? P. Murray said, staring down at his drink. I don't know the details, Stevie said. He mumbled his words slightly. Listen, Rick Donnelly said in the silence that followed. I'm with the O'Rourkes, and so is my brother. These greaseballs are cowards. We blow the heads off a couple of them, they both back off quick. They ain't yellow, little Stevie said. You can forget about that, but I'm with you. It's a crying shame the way we let these dagos push us around. I ain't for putting up with it anymore. Billy Donnelly, who had been leaning back with his arms crossed as if he were in the theater and taking in a movie, finally spoke up. Luca Brasi is a formidable opponent all by himself, he said. The man's a freak of nature, and we wouldn't be the first ones trying to take care of him. Let us worry about Luca Brasi, Donnie said. Listen, boys, he went on. Let's cut to the heart of the thing. What do you say? When we go after Brasi, it's liable it gets hot for all of us. If we stick together, though, if we show a little Irish moxie, we'll kick these wops' asses out and we'll show them what's what. What do you say? Are me and my brothers in this alone, or are you boys behind us? I'm behind you, little Stevie said without hesitation. We're with you, Rick Donnelly said for himself and his brother. He spoke clearly and evenly, if not with a lot of enthusiasm. Sure, Court Gibson said. Hell, if I ever back down from a fight. Pete Murray was still looking down at his mug of beer, and the others all turned to him and waited. When the silence went on too long, Donnie said, And what about you, Pete? Where do you stand? Pete lifted his eyes from his beer and looked first at Sean and then Willie and then finally to Donnie. And what about your sister Kelly, Donnie O'Rourke? He asked. Haven't you had a talk with her about keeping company to the likes of Luca Brasi? The only sound in the room then was the loud clatter of rain, which was pouring down again. It beat against the awning and rushed down the street.